Hi, I'm Nelly Yusupova. I'm a CTO, startup tech advisor, and creator of TechSpeak for entrepreneurs. And you are tuned in to Rolling Out.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Portia Monique, and today I'll be your host. And today we're speaking with Nelly Yusupova. She is the CEO of TechSpeak. We'll get a chance to learn all about what it is that she does and how she does it very soon. So stay tuned to this episode. Nelly, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely, as am I. And we were talking off screen about being in this AI industry and tech industry. And so you are definitely an expert in this field. But I want to know, as my first question, what sparked your journey from developer to CTO and ultimately to startup advisor for non-technical founders?
So I got my break by accidentally ending up in a startup space. And what's amazing about working in startups is if you say yes and you're enthusiastic and you're willing to learn, you get exposure into lots and lots of different opportunities and not just put it in a box to do the thing that you were trained to do in school, for example. So I had a computer science degree. I got to work at a company called Web Girls, which was a startup company back in early 90s, and very quickly was able to learn everything there was to learn about their tech department because they were a small company. And
Yeah.
I learned so much. And it just happened to be that the two tech guys that were with me in the 6 months that I started, they
Mhm.
both left, and I was the default person that was left.
We'll take it.
So I had a very short stint to go to work at a big company, but I totally didn't vibe with that after coming from a startup environment where I got to do so many things. And somebody at a big company tried to put me in a box and tell me, like, this is what you need to be doing now. So I went back to Web Girls. I got an opportunity of a lifetime that really created the career path that I was on. They
Yeah.
told me that I can come and join them and I can become a CTO. And I was in my early 20s. I was like, is this real?
Early 20s, right.
How can this be?
Right.
Everybody else thought I was insane to be able to go to this unproven company and like jump off and leave the safety net. But to me, this was an opportunity of a lifetime because, like I said, I could learn everything that I needed to learn to grow into the CTO that I eventually became, but I had the opportunity to do so. So I learned everything on the job. I learned how to manage teams, how to work with teams, how to build products, how to do sales, how to do business development and marketing. And I
Yeah.
became a well-rounded person and not just a tech person, which as a fractional CTO or as a CTO in general, you have to understand both business and technology. And
Mhm.
that opportunity gave me the exact steps and the framework that I needed and the environment that I needed to be able to learn all those skills. And eventually I decided to go on the speaking circuit, and that's where I got into the next phase of my life where I started meeting entrepreneurs. A lot of them
Yeah.
happened to be non-technical. They
Mhm.
came, I had a huddle of entrepreneurs around me after every event that I did, asking me questions about how do they build their startups? How can they avoid a lot of these technical mistakes that they are making working with developers, and how can they bring their ideas to life. And that's when I started TechSpeak, and TechSpeak is a 10-step process that I use. And then I started teaching it to non-technical entrepreneurs to allow them to become better leaders, to be able to manage their teams, to prevent themselves from wasting a lot of time and money on mistakes.
Yeah.
Are so, you can make so many if you're not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always say you learn best from your mistakes. That's number one. But number two, you said you got a lot of on the job training. To me, that's the best training that you will ever get is the on the job training because you learn what's right. You learn what's wrong. You learn how to keep pushing forward. You learn how all of the technical and non-technical skills that you need to run a team. And so congratulations to you on the opportunity of a lifetime and pursuing that and going after your dreams. And before we get off of TechSpeak, I do want to know, how do we find out more information about TechSpeak? Where do we go? Where do we look up? What website? What social media?
So TechSpeak is techspeak.co, or
Mhm.
techspeakforentrepreneurs.com, and you can find everything related to it uh, through my name, Nelly Yusupova, or at Digital Woman. So
Mhm.
you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok. I'm Digital Woman everywhere.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I do want to take this time to learn just a bit more about you as well as this CTO, as this entrepreneur, as this teacher, this founder. What are three signs that a startup is wasting money on product development? And yeah, just give us the three signs that they're wasting their money, because a lot of the times they don't find out until it's too late and they're thousands of dollars in the hole.
The first thing is that almost every startup that I end up working with, they overbuild too much technology. They, instead of what I teach is building with customers, they
Mhm.
usually build the product first and then they go find a market that wants it. And that's a backwards way of doing it. And so, like, I just talked to three founders the other day. They had all amazing technology, very interesting solutions, but they all struggled with finding customers. And so the biggest waste essentially that you can make is actually assuming that this solution needs to exist rather than find the customers first, find demand first, pre-sell your solution if possible, and then build the solution. So that's the probably the most expensive mistake for
Yeah.
non-technical founders. It's them not being technically literate and understanding the process. So oftentimes they don't know what trade-offs to make, how to have those conversations with technical people, and they default to whatever the technical person suggests, whether or not the technical person has the right solution or the right
Mhm.
advice. And
Mhm.
oftentimes they just trust completely and blindly.
Mhm.
And like you said, they discover that something didn't work out only 6 months into the project. And
Mhm.
that's already waste of not only 6 months, but thousands of dollars to begin with.
Yeah.
And the other thing is not knowing how to manage uh, developers because of
Mhm.
this complex, this God complex with technical people.
Mhm.
You kind of like they're afraid to say anything. They're afraid to put a structure into what should be done, how to set the expectations, and when they're going to have those check-ins. How do you move really, really fast? And so, because they don't have that knowledge, oftentimes it's not, again, by the time they discover something is wrong, it's way too late. And what I
Yeah.
teach is maximum, it should be 2 weeks. And you should be able to know every day what's happening. And
Yeah.
if you're there every day, you can actually spot those red flags because it's unrealistic that you can't make mistakes, that you can't have
Mhm.
bad people, that you can't,
Yeah.
it's just not realistic. But if
Right.
you're there, if you have a process of checking in and understanding what's happening
Mhm.
and what's being built and being there to answer questions, you can
Mhm.
actually be there to see those red flags and address them before they become giant and expensive problems.
Yeah. And just to touch on each of those, your number one is definitely a mistake that a lot of startups they just do. Like they want to build the project first, they want to build the product first, and then go find the customer. So something that small of a detail for you to just consult with and let people know can mean the difference between thousands of dollars. So that is so key. And then number two, making sure that you were technical enough, that you understood the technicalities of the things that you were doing. And I want you to expand on that just a bit. How do non-technical people find out what the technical, like how do they become fluent in it? How and not even fluent, but just understand enough to be able to have that conversation with that technical person. Give us some tips on how they do that.
Well, there is no shortage of information online now. I
Mhm.
think the number one thing that I see a lot of non-technical people do is just say, I'm not a techie," and they
Right.
just give up on that. And so if you say that, you're never going to become technically literate. So again, I don't want you to become a developer. You don't
Yeah.
need to know how to program, but do need to understand how the web works. What are all the terminologies mean? So that it's like speaking different languages with your technical people oftentimes because
Mhm.
it is an entire different vocabulary. It's like when you become a doctor, you have to learn a set of vocabulary words, and by the time you get to become a doctor. It's like second nature to you. And the same thing happens with technical people, learning the tech and becoming technically literate, is that you need to understand the base. You need to understand the basics so that you can start to build up your vocabulary. And
Yeah.
at the beginning, it's going to take more time, but then over time, it's going to be less and less intensive, right? Like it's going to
Hmm.
become automatic at some point, and
Hmm.
you're going to be able to feel comfortable just having those conversations. And that's some of the stuff that I teach people as well. But some of
Yeah.
the resources are podcasts. Follow the people that you know are technical. Just start talking to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first step is just not being afraid to ask for help, to ask someone to explain a term that you
Yeah.
don't understand, right? I think a lot of people are embarrassed at the fact that they don't know. If you never ask, you'll never learn. And it's just a matter of starting and knowing that it's going to be for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah.
technology moves and changes at the speed of light. We now
Hmm.
have AI. It's another set of vocabulary that you have to learn, right? And
Absolutely.
so it's just an ongoing thing. And tomorrow we're going to have something else. So
Yeah.
it's just keeping up with the pace.
Taking 5 minutes a day, right? Just take 5 minutes a day to do just a little bit of research. Read what's going on in the times, read what's going on in your craft, read what's going on in the field. And that little bit of 5 minutes will definitely make a difference. And then I think the last thing you said was touching base every day for whatever reason, and it comes second nature to technical people, right? You have a stand up, you touch base, you go over what's going on right now, what's going on tomorrow, what do you have challenges with? And that's just something that's just second nature to technical people. So, yeah, do it, people. So, I want to touch on your workshop, Roadmap to Billions, right? It focuses on finding product market fit. Why is this such a critical step for early stage startups?
Well, finding product market fit is when you become, like in my opinion, go from a concept, which is just an idea, to an actual business. So this
Hmm.
is when you have found the formula for really creating and generating revenue from the right customer, from the right product, and you found yourself in the market. And so the faster you can find product market fit, the faster you can actually start to scale.
Yeah.
And that's why I teach founders how to find product market fit as quickly as possible, because the faster you get there, the faster you can start making money. And that's it's the iterative process that you need to learn and yeah, get there as quickly as possible.
I love it. Now, tell us specifically about the panel discussion that you are involved with and how you plan to use your expertise to help people.
Absolutely. So the panel that I'm doing at the Roadmaps for Billions is called AI Agents, putting your business on autopilot. AI is touching every part of your business now. And what we're going to be talking about is what I call the AI ladder. I'm going to take people from the basics of this is prompting and AI tools to how do you build a GPT? And then what are some ways that you can use and leverage AI agents? And then
Mm,
the next level after AI agents is software. So I think in the next few years, there's going to be hyper personalized software for every business, for every
hmm.
person. So no matter what it is that you're doing, whether you're in a company, whether you're running a company, whether you're just an employee, you need to be able to learn and understand how to solve your own problems. So, like, let's say you're a marketer and you need some kind of a report that all of a sudden, like you needed to before, go to a tech person and try to get them and beg them to be able to build it
Yeah.
for you to be more effective, for you to be able to make more decisions. Now, if you have AI skills, you can use a lot of no code tools, low code tools, a lot of tools off the shelf to really come up with your own solutions. And you
Hmm.
can very quickly build them, right? So you're not like the superpowers that everybody is going to have if you know how to leverage these tools and what's possible is going to be really, really like uh, I'm looking forward to that stage. But for the people who are not jumping on this bandwagon and
Yeah.
learning the skills, they're going to be left behind, right? So you're not competing with AI. You need to be like a lot of people are saying, well, AI is going to take over my job. AI is going to I think you're always going to have a job. You're always going to have an opportunity if you know how to use and leverage these skills. And the
Mm-hmm.
people who don't are the people who are going to be out of the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I lived through the wave of the early internet. Back then, so this is in the early 90s, so I'm dating myself right
That's
now.
okay, because you look like you're what, 35. Keep going.
So back then, people were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to survive this thing? Now everything's going to be online. And
Yeah.
Web Girls, the company that I went to work for, our job and our goal was to get more women online
Mm-hmm.
because we realized how important the skills of the internet, web development, and being able to communicate online and use all the tools that were new back then. Now it's like a second nature to us, right? But back then they were all new tools, and everybody thought it's gonna just like what's going to happen with
Yeah.
everybody, right? But everybody learned the skills, and now we became so much more productive, and society just continues to grow with the skills that we have. And so the people who were left behind in the age of the internet, well, the people who couldn't catch up, you don't want to be that person in the age of AI. So it's just a new phase of efficiency that I think we're building. And I think that's what you should be looking forward to and just be excited about it, because now
Yeah.
you just I think if you know the skills, you just have superpowers and you don't have to be dependent on other people to solve your problems. So, yeah.
Yeah, it seems logical enough, right? So be able to solve your own problems, and you should want to solve your own problems. And of course, this will help with that. Last question before we get out of here. During this tech conference, what is your message to first-time Black women founders attending Roadmap to Billions for the first time this year?
Oh my gosh. So the reason why I'm so excited about AI and no-code tools and low-code tools is because underrepresented founders are traditionally non-technical. They don't have
Mhm.
tech degrees, they're generally more non-technical. And if you don't have the skill set of being able to build the startup of your dreams, you're already at a disadvantage.
Mhm.
So, what I think I love about this new phase is that every single one of us has domain expertise. Every single one of our experiences brought us the knowledge and the experience and the insight that we need to be able to solve problems for
Mhm.
our communities, for ourselves, for our families, for the world. And now, with the tool set that is available, that is accessible to people, if you can take your domain expertise and learn the other part of it, which is so much easier now,
Mhm.
you can build your minimal viable product like this.
Mhm.
You can start to get traction like this. And what
Mhm.
that's going to help you to do is to build out your team, right? To be able to attract team members. So one of the hardest things to find for non-technical people is to find a CTO. And if you're pitching your CTO with, hey, I have an idea, can you come help me build this? The answer is almost always is going to be no, right? But
Right. Yeah.
now, if you can get your startup to be not just an idea, but this is now an idea with some traction, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect, but you have
Mhm.
your MVP, you have some customers, you have some of this. Any single step that you can show towards traction is going to help you get those yeses from both potential partners like CTOs
Yeah.
and investors as well. And I
Mhm.
think that's the most exciting part of it is that so many people who have domain expertise see problems that like I didn't see I when I became a mom, I
Mhm.
all of a sudden saw so many problems in a mom space, right? And before I became a
Right.
mom, I had no idea. And
No
so
way.
every
Right.
single one of us has just experiences that I've never been a part of.
Yeah.
You worked at a job, you see the problems there, and so much of this potential to be able to build and solve problems in that space is
Mhm.
so cool. And AI makes it more accessible. And sometimes I think because specifically with AI, some problems were too expensive to solve before. So even
Mhm.
if you could build a smallish business, it wouldn't be beneficial, or it wouldn't be it would be cost prohibitive to be able to put in all the resources into the technology to build something
And
to solve a smaller problem.
yeah.
But with AI, you can do that now. Even
Mhm.
if the problem is small, it doesn't have a zillion customers, right?
Yeah.
You can still solve the problem, you can still create revenue. And I think like you could, with all the efficiency, if you really know how to run your businesses, you could have two or three different software companies, right?
Yeah.
There's no one stopping you from that. And so you can generate the revenue that you need to be
Yeah.
happy and have the goals that you need achieved. So I see a lot of amazing opportunities for founders if they, of course, learn the skill set.
Absolutely. Excellent advice. Thank you so much for tuning in to us, making sure that we understand what's going on with this Roadmap to Billions conference, making sure that we understand what it is that we need to better ourselves and our businesses, put it in place. I always say, and something that you just said made me think of this, dream bigger. We don't necessarily have to conform and condense our dreams, right? So like you said, we can have two or three. And then the other thing that you made me come to mind was done is always better than perfect. And you can perfect it later. Just get it done. And then you'll get to those yeses faster. Nelly, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in to Rolling Out. Please share with us, where do we follow you on your journey, get in contact with you, learn more information, all of those great things.
So I'm a digital woman on all the socials, and techspeak.co is the website where you can learn everything on how to run a company, how to start a startup as a non-technical founder. I have lots of free resources. There's a blog and webinars, so go check it out.
Absolutely. And I know your panel discussion is going to be amazing. So have a wonderful day, have a wonderful panel discussion, and we will check in with you soon. We're going to be following you on all of your platforms. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you.